That's Mickey. This is Candace. I'm Gerard, and we are Canceled Weekly. We're going shoulders out for this one because we got Fresh and Fit on the docket for today. We're talking Top G with Tucker Carlson, and of course, we've got Chris Williamson. But first, let's listen to a little Huberman.
Perhaps the most dramatic was they gave two different groups of people a milkshake. One group is told this milkshake is very high calorie, it contains a lot of fat and sugar, etc. Another group is told the milkshake they're getting is very low calorie, it's very nutrient sparse, etc. Then they measure hunger, so how long it takes for them to get hungry again after ingesting it. They also look at insulin. People that get the nutrient-dense milkshake are satisfied for longer, their ghrelin is suppressed, and their insulin is higher. You see the opposite in the group that had the so-called low-calorie shake. Turns out it's the exact same milkshake. This is not simply the placebo effect. I think it's the placebo effect plus the expectation effect plus a real physiological effect, because that's what you describe as well. Any event causes a real physiological response, but that real physiological response is braided in with our expectation and our understanding of what the response ought to be to create the actual response. So it's sort of real plus perceived.
I just want something. Anything.
Like a milkshake?
To be free. I just want a milkshake so bad after that. What were your thoughts on seeing that, Mick?
I don't understand the delineation he made between a milkshake and a placebo.
It's the same thing.
It seems like the same thing to me. It seems like placebo effect.
I don't know why he was trying to like over intellectualize it. That is the placebo effect. So if you're measuring anything against like a drug for a vaccine or whatever, you have to measure it against a placebo, and a placebo has a physiological response. That is what a placebo is. So it is the same thing.
Yeah, that seems like placebo effect to me.
It is.
And so, and I believe in that, and I think we all do. You know what I mean? Like if you believe, like they can give you, a pill that's nothing, and they tell you it's going to make you stronger. People will be stronger. You know what I mean? They'll perform better and perform stronger feats.
Yeah, but there are also pills that do make you stronger, right? I mean, like...
Yeah, I know, but this is talking to, like, the power of the mind. Mm-hmm. If the mind believes it, then, it just has a way of making things happen and manifest in the world.
Wow, that really... If that's true, that really makes the supplement industry remarkably open to fraud.
Sure.
If it's like, take this pill, it's a new thing, it's got rhinoceros fucking... skin in it, it's gonna make you huge, and then people are popping it. I just, one of the worst things that's happened in this kind of like post-COVID world is you can't trust anything that you're told anymore, right? It's like we've pulled back the veil, we've all seen the wizard, and like what science can I trust? What information can I believe? So this guy tells me that if he tells me that the milkshake I'm drinking has sugar in it, my insulin spikes. Like it's two separate things. Your body doesn't.
No, because that's where you get into quantum physics, right? And you're trying to like operate in space and time. If you go out of space and time, then that's where you can have creation.
What? It's a milkshake, man.
It's not.
Your body.
It's not. That goes back into self-healing, right? So how do you heal stage 4 cancer with your mind? You have to go to a place where you are healthy with your mind.
I don't know if I'm convinced you can heal.
You can't talk to people that have done it. There's plenty of people that have gone to a Joe Dispenza.
I understand. I'm skeptical. Shocker, I know.
You think they're lying?
No, I think that
they got lucky.
Maybe every angle hasn't been measured or identified.
Okay, well then, I'm assuming you haven't read any of his work.
No, it's a safe assumption.
Okay, so one study, this girl, it's horrific. So this girl gets a heart transplant, and immediately after the heart transplant, she starts having nightmares. And she got the transplant from a murder victim, a girl that was murdered. So she was a donor. They donated her heart. So that was the heart that she received. So this little girl starts having really vivid nightmares about getting murdered. So so much detail for a little girl, it didn't make sense. So they called the police, and the girl is explaining where, when, who, how, all of it. It matches up. They end up using this girl's nightmares to find the murderer, and he gets convicted.
That sounds like the plot to a movie.
No, you can
Sure
look. You
does.
can look it up, and I don't know if there's a way to like super fast Google this, but it's 100%.
Go for it, Chris.
It's a real story. So I forget the name of it, but like your heart basically has like these kind of memory cells in it, and it's like your body parts store, like your body stores a story.
But that's reasonable to me
Whoa.
because that's basically what
They should-
DNA is supposed to be, right? The DNA is a coding of, it's a codex of everything that's ever happened before you that brought you to this point. That's the
They should
idea of
take
it, isn't it?
people on like death row and give them parts of people who have been like murdered, and then make them help solve the crime to be able to maybe get off.
That's its own movie. That's a good movie right there.
Right.
That's like the new Minority Report. It's like you're on
Yeah.
death row anyway. We're gonna give you this
Yeah, and if
murdered
you solve,
girl's
yeah,
heart.
we're gonna give you 3 murdered hearts, and if you solve 3 murders, help us solve, we set you free.
Yeah.
Because you now have a new heart.
Technically, you died.
What?
That's why they give you like consecutive life sentences, because if you have a heart attack and you die,
Yeah, that's why you might need 3.
yeah.
Well, and then do you know the thing with the
Or if the
split
king's out.
personalities as well? So if you have multiple,
No, tell us about that, Gemini.
if you have real multiple personalities, like let's say 17, or pick an arbitrary number, that each manifested personality that shows up will have a different biological makeup than the other one. Like their heart will beat at a different rhythm, their breathing will be different.
Oh, wow.
Like their facial structures
the
will
premise of
change.
Split, yeah.
But it's based off of true findings. So your mind is like this thing. What is consciousness? What is your soul? Is there a soul? There's so much question and mystery, and
Is split personality multiple souls occupying the same
I've said
vessel?
the same thing. Like, is that possible?
And I wonder the same. I talk about on Slick and Thick. I've talked about a lot, like how, like the untapped potential of our mind, where like there'll be like a woman will be able to lift a car up to like save her kid, or like rip like the door off. Like there's so much like potential in our mind that we can't tap it. Like I can't go lift a car up right now. You know what I mean? But like if
People
you
have
can
done
tap into that, like there's ways. Like there's so much like power within us. I find that just so interesting.
Yeah, the DMT stuff, when they get into that stuff, I find very, where they think they kind of figured it out, and the whole noetic science aspect of it, and the 28 grams.
What's
theory.
noetic science?
Noetic science was like a whole bunch of scientists originally set out to try to disprove religion as a hoax and
Oh, this is
disprove.
a 28 grams thing.
Yeah, and they set out to, with modern technology, I believe this was started in the 20th century. And they're like, with our modern instruments, we can measure everything. We can get rid of the idea of a miracle. We can quantify everything. We can get rid of the superstition that is God or whatever. And the more that they quantified and the deeper they got into this, the more that they came to the realization that there's some unquantifiable shit at play here.
Because
And-
when people would die and they put them,
One of the big ones, one of the ones that they talked about was prayer healing. In third world countries where they have no access to any modern medicine, how they'd get these people who were very sick would get like in these prayer circles, and for like 48, 72 hours these people would chant consistently around them, and the people would heal. And they even tried to quantify like home field advantage in sports. Like, why is there such a thing as home field advantage? And the one, the very famous one is the 28 grams theory, where on a gravity scale, where you account for the size of the person, what they eat, their age, how much excrement they have in them, every single person, regardless of all those variables, loses between 26 and 28 grams at the very moment of their expiration.
But isn't that because like you shit and piss
They-
no,
yourself?
they account
They've
for all that.
accounted
That's
for
all.
it.
That's all.
They've
That's all
accounted for it.
contained. Like on the scale.
Yeah, there's this unexplainable 26 to 28 grams that they wonder, is that the soul leaving the body?
leaving the body.
Is that the smoking gun that there is this? And then the DMT thing that's even weirder is like, they call that the God molecule, right? So, all this
That's
stuff.
released like when you're born, as you go to sleep.
Correct.
And when you die.
Yeah. And everybody, the wildest thing to me about DMT is people that have never met each other, people that will never meet each other, have described their experiences with it to me. and they've had remarkably similar experiences with
Yeah.
remarkably similar
All that
visions.
stuff's the same. Know what else is similar? Sleep paralysis. They see this monster, right? Like I think with DMT.
I used to get that a lot.
So I've never had it, but I've heard multiple people who have, and they describe like this monster. And you can look
Sleep
it up.
paralysis is...
It's where you're asleep,
You're not.
but like or like you wake up, but your body's like still asleep, so you can't move. But like your eyes are open, and then a lot of people have like this monster that starts like crawling.
And
up
you
on
can't speak. You can't make a noise. You're fully awake. Your eyes can move, but your body cannot move, no matter how far. And I've seen shit.
And it happens like right as you wake up, right?
No, it's for me, it's been sporadic. Like it'll
Like
happen
in the middle of the day.
Well, no, well, it's when you're sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily like right before a normal wake period. It's like at some point you're woken from your sleep. And like, yeah, you 100% see something. You feel like someone's choking you, but like you see this really just dark, it looks like a Dementor from Harry Potter. Like that's the best way I can describe it. And
Yeah.
it's moving and people be like, oh, you're sleeping. No, like anytime that this has happened, I can see the time on the clock. I would be in like a hotel room. I could see the emergency exit
So you're
plaque.
conscious.
You're totally awake. You are there's no way to not be like wildly alert while this is happening because it's fucking
Sounds like a
terrifying.
nightmare. It's like you died.
Yeah, and with DMT, people see like the same elves like all the time, and like there's certain
Clockwork
things
elves.
that yeah.
Here's a picture.
Yeah,
that's
like that.
fucking scary,
No,
eh?
I'm convinced it's real. Like I believe in a lot of this stuff. So
What do you think that is when you say it's
I think
real?
it's like a demon. I think
like in like just something operating in this world that we can't see.
I think that there's a lot happening that we can't see, right?
I
like
agree.
we are just operating on what we know, and
Right, we only see through these eyes, through our
right,
what is
like
it?
who's to say that there's not more
There
like we
could be
know that
shit
there's
right in
more
front of us right
happening,
now. Yeah.
right? Which is why when you do psychedelic, you do see a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's almost like you see what's actually there, or some of that's actually there. But when I think
Yeah.
that, like I think it's like it's evil, it's a demon, it's like absolutely something that is showing
Yeah,
up.
that guy doesn't look nice.
So you believe in demons, but
I do.
you don't believe in religion.
I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, and I know people make fun of that. But
I'm not making fun.
But religion is organized religion is a lot newer than spirituality, right? It's a way to kind of control a lot of people. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have a purpose or that it's not good. I think it's beautiful for a lot of people. But I don't think to say like that is the only way. Like I believe in God, I believe in angels, I believe in evil, absolutely. And I think that that's what that is. I think that we try to like make it not spiritual and not esoteric or mystical. And we're like, oh, you're just having a chemical reaction while you're sleeping. Why do we all see the same thing? Why can I know for a fact I was awake when it happened? Why do I feel that? Why do I see the bed moving? Like all of these things don't make any sense.
Yeah, I with the spiritual versus religious thing, I know it is like almost like a joke where it's like I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like a ditzy girl thing to say. But I've heard people say that religion is like something that's like kind of is like a made kind of criteria that like people either subscribe to or they don't. While spiritual is almost like your own. You know what I mean? It's almost like more like unique to yourself. It's not like the Bible and
Sure.
or the Torah or you know what I mean, the Quran.
So would it be
Spirituality is like almost like where it's like it's your own kind of religion,
so? Are you saying that
right? Candace?
religion is external,
Is that how you see it?
spirituality is internal?
No.
No, so I think that there's a lot of common ground amongst most religions. There's like 4,000 religions, I believe, something around that. And there's the same story told in different ways across a lot.
4,000 religions.
Christian can look that up.
Get to work, boy.
But
There's
There's-
only
there's-
190 countries.
there's a common thread amongst most of them. Well, yeah, but like there's all sorts of weird religions.
Yes,
like
there are, in fact,
Scientology's
4,000.
new. See, boom.
Wow.
But anyways, there's common stories told throughout a lot of them. And then before organized religion, what do we have? We had the pagans, and they were worshiping other things. We had like the moon god, and we
Druids,
have
yeah.
the Norse gods, all of that. So those people wouldn't have fallen into an organized category, but they still were worshiping and they still were honoring that there's something bigger than them. And I think you can make fun of people that are like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, whatever, but at least they believe in a higher power. And I think that the worst thing you can do is be like, I am the highest power. I think that's something to maybe make fun of. But it's just not, it goes back to, if you tell me what to do, I'm going to have to do everything not to do the exact opposite. And for me, religion is a lot of telling me what to do. And I don't think anyone can dictate what your relationship to God is supposed to be. That is between you and God. And we all have, we all came from that. And for you, another person, to dictate to me what is divinity doesn't make sense, because you already know that it's within you.
Agreed.
Speaking of not telling us what to do, Chris Williamson.
Debate that I did in Qatar, they played this video that was like a bunch of famous individuals that might be accused of being toxically masculine in one form or another. And I was like, okay, I understand that you have a problem with the people that have just been held up as potential role models for men. Please tell me who you would suggest instead. And it took 10 seconds in front of a live audience of silence for him to say, my brother-in-law. And I was like, how about somebody that we all know? I think it was a really important moment that showed it is really hard to find a positive image for what men could and should be.
The strange thing is the things that define masculinity, we do celebrate them, but in women, so when a woman is like confident and loud and in your face, we love that. If you say, oh yeah, man, confident and go-getting, fierce, it's like, oh no, we don't like that. It's a shame because we don't seem to be benefactors of the lessons of history, because this isn't the first time we've pathologized the gender. Toxic masculinity is just a modern equivalent of female hysteria, where we take female distress and we pathologize it as something to be treated, and we subject them to this crazy sort of experiments to fix the problem. And we're doing the same now. We see masculinity as a problem to be fixed.
Well, I think, for one, real masculinity, there's nothing toxic about it. I think there's nothing toxic about real masculinity. Real masculinity is protecting. It's not oppressing. It's not abusing. It's protecting against all of that. I wouldn't call it masculinity if something's coming off toxic. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. And then the whole it taking 10 seconds, so that just proves a point that there's not a bunch of other alternatives to someone like Andrew Tate doesn't make sense either, because men do take, like, you go in and you're trying to like search for the best possible answer. So I don't think that says anything. Also, I'm pretty sure everyone at this table can suggest a whole bunch of people in way less than 10 seconds.
Wait, 10 seconds, Andrew Tate?
They wanted an example of someone who is positively masculine. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you don't like Andrew Tate, then give me an alternative. Instead of just saying you don't like him, provide an alternative. And he was like, oh, it took 10 seconds, so that means there's not a lot of alternatives.
I can name a new alternative every second. Yeah. What do you want?
Yeah.
This idea of what's masculine and what's not, it's so stupid. It's the definition. This goes right back to, we talked about this a couple episodes back with the semantics game. I don't care what you think is masculine or what's not. You don't define me. I think the term masculine is being used for the term what used to be noble. Like what's a noble activity, right? Is punching somebody noble? Well, yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
It can be. If that person was willing to do harm to somebody else and you intervened, yeah, then that is noble. If you're oppressing somebody, then it's ignoble. Like this idea of what's masculine and what's not. It's remarkable to me how many people I see talking about this who I would never even for a moment consider masculine.
Yeah.
I see a lot of 135-pound people trying to describe to the world what masculine is. And I feel like at some point this is all just like a big circle jerk, man. Like we're just talking and talking and talking and nothing's moving in any direction. People are making an entire cottage industry off of this. And the more that we accept that masculinity can be toxic, or that, the more that we accept that the left-wing ideologues have a point, you know what I mean? Just by treating their buzzwords as if they're real, I feel like is a win for them. Like we should just be ignoring these people. We should be ridiculing. We should be ridiculing them. We should be like, masculinity's toxic. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Do something about it then. Match my toxicity, or shut the fuck up. Can you do something about it? Like Jordan Peterson said it, when one of his first viral videos, he said it the best. Weak men can't be peaceful. Only strong men can be peaceful.
Right. Someone who's capable of violence.
You have to be violent.
If you're just weak and are like, oh yeah, I choose no violence, that's because you don't really have a choice.
You don't have
it's
a choice.
Not a choice.
Yeah. You have a choice, bitch.
Yeah.
You're nonviolent out of self-preservation. You're not peaceful.
Yeah.
You're docile.
Right.
Two different things.
Yeah, you have no teeth.
Yeah, man. So like all this other stuff, like I don't know. Feel free to elaborate.
Yeah, what do you think?
No, I agree. I think it's weird how there's just seems to be some people, because the Tate fanatics are real. Like, they will come for you. They're almost more intense than Swifties. So if you
As a
and
Taylor Swift fan?
yeah,
What
so
an analogy.
but it's true. Like, the Swifties are serious. Like, they'll come for you.
They're toxic.
They will come for you and your children and
think
everything that
wokeness
you
is
hold
toxic.
dear.
100%.
I think
Yeah.
wokeness is very toxic.
Yeah, but I guess the thing is with Tate is because his fans are pretty highly charged, and also he does have like a quote red-pilled base, that a lot of people aren't willing to just outright say that he's a bad dude and he is providing bad information for young men. And yeah, sure, provide some alternatives. I think that's great.
You think
but
he's giving all bad information to young men?
No, I mean, everyone has something good to say once in a while, but I don't think that that takes away from him fundamentally being an evil person. And then he goes on and Candace Owens, and she's like, oh, he's this great guy. But I mean, he was literally saying how he had lover boy tactics, would hold women's passports, lock them out of their account, say that he had expenses, used their money for other things, and then paid them like pennies on the dollar. That's trafficking, and he has a video saying that.
Is this all proven?
These are his words. You can go back and find videos. He has the videos that he fucking was flexing, thinking it was cool. Like,
Really?
oh, I would get
Like
these.
showing you like finesse these
Yeah,
girls.
and take their passports. And then he would say that he told them girls are dumb, they don't know about finances, so I would just say there's some taxes and take some off the top and then give them the rest.
Oh wow.
That's not
Yeah,
okay.
That's not really cool.
That's not okay. So I don't care what the fuck you say that might have sounded good 20 minutes ago. You're a pimp.
Right. I feel like a lot of his, like when I first saw Andrew Tate, I thought he was just like super like, you know, inflammatory, hyperbolic, just like, and like trying to like push buttons. The more I've like seen of like his like overall grander message, I think is kind of spot on.
Yeah, he hates women. He's super misogynistic. Like, do you want that guy dating
Hey, what do you
your
mean?
daughter?
Yeah, no. That wasn't what I was saying. I was saying I agree with that with that part. Is that how you took that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Do you think I hate women?
No. I don't think you hate women. No, I
Oh,
wouldn't be
okay.
here.
All right.
No, I was talking about him.
But Gerard though, he hates women. You're here.
Tell me about it, Gerard.
Yeah, the medicine for misogyny is not misinjury, right? So
Just misinjury.
being anti-male.
Okay.
So the idea of like why these people were so fervent is because not for 2 years, for 10 years really, maybe longer, from in America since at least the Obama re-election campaign, if not earlier, there has been a concerted effort through the media and our university elites to blame, demoralize, and emasculate men, especially men that would be considered high value targets, right? Like you know, you're rich white males, you're this, you're that, right? Whatever. People that have been successful, right? The idea that nobody rich did it without hurting somebody else. The idea that any success has come on the backs of other people, and those other people always happen to be people of color, or they happen to be, you know, people with alternative genders or alternative sexual lifestyle. The othering, the plight of the proletariat bullshit has now had a generation of young men, 2 generations of young men come through the school system being told that they are the problem with
Kinda
everything
beaten down.
wrong. They're demoralized. Everything that's wrong in this world is your fault. Everything that's happened bad is because of you and your ancestors. You owe these people something. Take a step back. Let everybody have what you want, because you don't deserve it and they do. And then on top of it, we've told an entire generation of women that you need to make as much money as men, but also you need to date a man who makes more money than you, is taller than you, bigger and stronger than you. So if the woman is making more money and she's more educated, all right, and she needs to date somebody who makes more money and is more educated, what's happening to the 90% down here?
Maybe they need to step their games up.
Maybe they need to step their games up, but also somebody is going to come and tell them, you 90%, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's these evil women. It's not your fault. It's this evil system. It's not your fault. The Matrix is fucking lying to you. And he's right. So those people are going to say, thank you. Tell me more. You're right. It's not me, it's you. You're right. It's not me, it's this system. And those crumbs of truth, those specks of truth, they feel them in their soul because they believed them. They just needed somebody to say it, somebody to take the authority and say it. All right? And now that he says it, whatever wrong he did, they're able to say, of course they want to drag him down. It's the same people that wanted to keep me down will do anything to keep him down. Right? We've seen this. This is cult of personality. What makes Andrew Tate different is that he wanted this. He engineered his rise. He understood exactly what he was doing with Top G University, and he invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into his brand. He wanted this.
Let's roll the next clip, so that'll keep this going with the Andrew Tate stuff.
Okay.
Andrew Tate's core message is respect yourself. Act like you're worth something. Achieve something. Do something. Get the fuck off the couch. Put down the porn. And I feel like that's the greatest message that anyone could give. It just tells you everything about the people in charge, that's threatening. How is that threatening?
Yeah.
That's self-improvement. Now, you may not agree with or understand some things that Tate says, which is where I am. Like, what? The point is, what is he, underneath it all, what is he saying? He's saying, respect yourself. You are worthy of respect. Live in a way where others will respect you. That is the most needed message anyone can hear.
So I unashamedly like Tucker Carlson. I listen to Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker Carlson's worldview. But the Andrew Tate interview, the almost 2-hour one that he did on X, formerly Twitter, was disappointing because he allowed Andrew Tate to lie to him and run PR for the first 30 minutes. You got to skip the first. Oh, yeah. It's just flat to what Candace was talking about before. He allowed. Now, it's not, we can argue whether or not it's his job to push back or whatever, because he really just wanted to get to, the second and the third parts of the interview, which were very interesting. But the first third of the interview is just Andrew Tate running a complete counter narrative on everything that's ever been said. And unfortunately for Andrew Tate, the internet never forgets. And within 2 hours of that interview being posted, there was his own words refuting what he had said on the Tucker interview. Your thoughts on that, Candace?
Yeah, and I do think it's your job to push back, especially when you have someone that has such serious allegations. And then he sits there on this podcast and he's like, well, he's so admirable. Live respectfully. Is it respectful to traffic women? Is it respectful to steal from women? Is it respectful to make a lot of money off of them doing explicit work? Because that alone is...
The first two, definitely not.
You know, it's crazy. Like, if you're making your money off of women and then taking that money.
But the third one, if he's like facilitating like a platform or something, you know what I mean, for them to do certain things, and he's helping out in that.
But then he's saying, don't watch porn. How is that not hypocritical?
Well, I feel like for this, I look at this where there's people who aren't achieving anything, aren't aspiring for anything, or maybe they're wishing and hoping, but they're not taking action. They're laying down and jerking their little dicks, and you know what I mean, then and doing really nothing in their life. While instead, lately I've been, and that goes back to the Napoleon Hill, the Think and Grow Rich stuff, where they talk about sexual transmutation, where if instead of taking that energy, where they're just gonna, you know what I mean? They can channel that energy into something more productive, something where they can, earn respect. They can become a high value person. I don't think he's wrong about that stuff, and I think hopefully that'll inspire people to get up off of their bed and off the computer for whatever they're using it for, whether it's porn sexually, or it's like mind porn, like junk food for your brain, just flipping through Instagram, you know what I mean, reading stupid things and going out and actually trying to benefit the world and benefit themselves and their people, their families.
Yeah, but you have to pass the litmus test. And if you're telling people to lead a life worth of respect, and then meanwhile you are holding women hostage and you're holding their passports and then you're stealing from them, there's nothing to be respected in that. So you can go, it just doesn't make sense.
He definitely seems to be not the perfect messenger.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
So I have to use your own advice, and I have to push back against you. You have an issue with Andrew Tate and trafficking women or working, but you owned an agency in the industry, right? So I mean, at the same time, you profited off of
No, I
people's work?
didn't. I can show you. We were in the red every single month, and that's probably why we closed up shop. Like, I did not make a profit. It's very hard to make a profit off of those. So that's probably how he justified it. But I can show you my fucking books. We did not profit off of any of it, and we were also providing a service. I had none of the logins. I didn't own anything. I was not in charge of paying anyone. They paid us. There wasn't any like me locking them out if they weren't any good girls or however he worded it. So with the agency that we had, one of our biggest points driving home was sovereignty. Like, how can you be in charge? How can you have full agency over your content? You made a decision that is going to exile you out of a lot of communities, a lot of dinner tables, and that fucking sucks, but you have to own it. How can we make sure that you have longevity, how that you invest your money properly? We were having girls buy crypto and like teaching them a little bit about investing. We had other people launching e-commerce shops. Like, we were teaching them how to diversify. So very different than what he was doing, which is essentially a warehouse with a whole bunch of little rooms inside of it and these filthy couches and these women that are working for 12, 15 hours straight, and then he's getting 80% of the money. So no, I had an agency, but it was not the fuck what he was doing.
Interesting. Who is paying for this stuff? Where is the majority of if prostitution, they'd be called Johns, right? Like who is where is the marketplace for this?
Everywhere.
It's completely
Maybe
global.
these are the
It's
guys
not-
he's talking to too. The guy he seeds the guys who he was making money off, and maybe he's changing trying to help those generations. You know what I mean? Trying to help those people who who fell into that shit and were giving their money.
Well, and here's the other thing too that people aren't saying. So he's trying to say that he's trying to improve the lives of young men. But at the same time, what he was doing is he was like talking to these customers that were men and like having them send their entire life savings to go meet this girl in person. I love you, baby, so much. Meet me
It was
here.
him and Tristan actually.
And then he just
right?
destroyed a young man's livelihood. He doesn't give a shit about men.
But maybe it's almost like a reformed drug dealer thing, where if they were selling
he's
drugs
not.
but now they're like don't do drugs.
Takes all your money.
What,
What have you learned?
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen, if you guys really do want to get into an interesting conversation, the fight community does have a very primal, some would say backwards or antiquated mindset as per partnership, because they have, kind of the guys I've been around anyway, like the Sean O'Malley thing. I'm a fucking king. It's like very medieval, right? It's like this. It's not, there's not many progressives in the cage. Let's put it that way. There's not many. You're not getting guys that are well versed in queer theory from Berkeley, in the octagon. So it's. So
I think it's I mean, I think it's a lot of people seeing things the fucking way they are.
I think that's
it's the force it's you're forced to confront reality and look at things truthfully. Otherwise, there's going to be problems. So if you know what I mean, I
actually think your sport's immunity to the woke fucking mind virus is its attraction at this point.
Well, no, you say that. What about Fox? What
Fallon Fox?
Fallon Fox.
Everybody thinks that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But it happened.
Right.
But then she got basically bullied out of the sport.
Yeah. No, it was like that was an outrage, kind of. Yeah. I don't think we haven't seen it since.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see it again.
They really are. The MMA guys are like the last of the old guard, and they're unashamed too. So I mean, I try to support them in every way I can. Every one of their posts, I like them. Dariush, whoever it is, but it's like it's fucking refreshing.
Well, do you think that
to
there's
not have that corporate retreat?
Do you think that there's any chance though, because we are getting desensitized to seeing women's faces get bashed in, because that's new and it is different. Like,
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. And I don't like violence. I don't like watching violence either. Like, it's hard for me, but it is easier for me to watch men in that.
Capacity?
When I see women, I'm like, I short circuit. I don't understand what's happening. So because I think we're seeing more and more of it, do you think it's possible that we have another Fallon instance? Because we're like, well, they're already getting there. Because these people that are justifying, they don't understand the biological difference between a male and a female. So they're so used to seeing these women get pummeled. They're like, well, what's the difference anyways? They're signing up to get pummeled because they don't understand. They're not training like you are. I don't know. They're not grounded. They just think it's the same. If they're both the same height and in the same weight class, that there's no difference.
Yeah, I mean, if they thought that and signed up, they'd probably find out pretty quickly that there is a difference.
But should the league allow it?
I mean,
even
I
if
don't
the
think
women
so.
agree, like if a woman is like, I know that you are a biological male that transitioned and I agreed to that fight, should the
and
league
they
allow it?
are a former woman who's now
Former man that is now a woman. Now identifies
Right,
as a woman.
that-
Should the league allow it if the
No,
biological woman
no,
says
no.
I'm okay with it?
No,
I agree.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
But I'm telling you, one of the good things from being around these people is like those women don't have that progressive feminist, anti-reality mind virus. They train with these guys all the time. Like the women train with the men. They roll around all the time. They do jujitsu.
I just met this woman and she does jujitsu, and she was saying that she did it so that she could feel empowered and she could protect herself. And I can't, I'm really bad at lying or hiding how I feel, and it's like it takes a lot for me to just swallow words sometimes. And I was just like, I work with one of the deadliest men in the fucking world. And the way that he described it to me, because I took a self-defense class, he's like, that's adorable that you think that that's going to do anything if there's a man that wants to take you down.
Well, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I want all my sisters do jujitsu. Every woman I think should do jujitsu to some capacity, because you can at least, if it's an untrained person attacking you, I don't care. It could be a big, strong male. If they have the technique and understand the body's shortcomings, how the arm won't extend past here, and understand leverage. Jiu-jitsu is made for a smaller person to be able to defeat a bigger person using leverage and kind of like I said, the body shortcomings and stuff like that. So it absolutely is possible. If a girl's on the ground in let's call it missionary position, where they're going to get raped, there's a position for that. It's called the guard. And from there, you can control someone's hips. You can break their posture, pull their head down where they can't be up here fucking punching at you, because you can pull their head down and control their arms, control their head, keep them kind of at least subdued until they can scream for help and
You can
someone can
certainly
come and help them.
stall and minimize
They could
damage.
stall, or they could fucking choke them out.
Sure.
It's possible.
I'm 5'3" and $130. I feel like there's no. So for example, this man that
It wouldn't be an easy go, but it'd be much better than having
his argument is don't do that, because it would take years and years and years of training for you to have a possibility of beating a
Time's
man.
gonna
Let's not
pass
say
anyway.
beat. Let's not say beat.
When I say beat,
survive.
I mean live and not get
Survive.
raped.
Live.
Survive.
A year, 2 years of 2 to 3 times a week training while learning a great skill.
Yeah.
Getting a great
This is
workout.
assuming your attacker has no knowledge
Right.
whatsoever.
If your attacker
That's
is
a
an
big
MMA fighter,
assumption.
That's a big assumption.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of men know something now.
a lot
it's
of them
so
don't
trendy.
too, though. I get it. What you're saying is 100%
Well,
right.
basic-
In an even playing
You're
field,
right. There's a
you're in
difference
bad shape.
between males have bigger bones, are typically
Sure.
stronger, and they're going to present more
But
problems.
there's no
is-
reason not to
Well,
learn.
he's in the camp of women should conceal carry.
I agree with
full-
that too.
Full
Fuck
stop.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's
For
if you're
sure.
gonna do one, and if you're gonna
That's an even
become
better
a master,
superpower.
if you're gonna be a master at one,
Mm-hmm.
master a firearm, and that is gonna be your best protection against a man who is bigger, stronger, faster,
Agreed.
and
So
going
he's
to kill you.
right and he's wrong though, because if you get taken from behind to mix point, you got to learn how to escape the position that you're in to be able to get the firearm. So I mean, there's no great perfect answer to, hey, look, some animal has gone feral and they're going to take you without your consent. Do this and it won't happen. No, man, that you're literally in survival mode right now. Every tool, everything that you could possibly do, every piece of knowledge you have, it's all going to be beneficial to try to help you survive that apocalyptic moment.
Yeah, well, the training that he does, so he trained the guy that trained Keanu Reeves for John Wick. So
Okay.
he trained that dude. So it's not just like firearms, but it's like close quarters combat, knife skills, firearms, and then obviously like holds and stuff. But not everyone has the like not everyone can access that kind of information. So it's like if you're going to spend the time, right? Like if you're going to spend the time, you want to learn how to use the weapon, because if you neglect that, that's more dangerous because it's going to get turned on you probably, right? So people don't have a lot of time. And if you're a small woman, you got to kind of pick and choose.
If you're a small woman, like, let me ask you a question on this. If you're a small woman, I feel like I would be able to withstand a barrage of strikes from a small woman more than I would be able to like hold them down if they had good guard or very active jiu-jitsu.
I don't understand the question.
So
you would be able to.
like no matter how good of a boxer a woman is, I'm gonna walk. If at 135 pounds, I'm gonna walk through the punch. I'm gonna walk right through it.
Probably.
Right, but if I was not me, because I mean that's like grotesque to think about, but like somebody my size was got on top of them or whatever. Like I was wrestling with Christian the other night, right? You can learn techniques to make yourself smaller, retain guard, be very active, tire me out, at least stall.
I think the biggest thing would be stall. I think, or I'll give the whole fucking picture. If a woman could learn have almost like just enough, you know, like almost like a cheat sheet. Should learn how to be able to protect their head if a big punch is coming. Use their forearms to protect their head, their chin, you know what I mean, their face from getting smashed. They should learn a jiu-jitsu guard. They should or being able to being in that close quarter combat where you're like, let's call it grappling, all right? Where yes, they could be in a guard, and instead of the guy being able to posture up and punch the shit out of them and knock them out, they could break their posture, use their leverage, put an overhook over one arm to control it. Put their hand on the back of the head. If you grab the top of my head here and pull down with two hands, it doesn't matter. Like you'll get my head down just because of the leverage, right? Using your body weight and stuff, and then you can use your elbow to kind of constrict my arm, so that at that time I don't have like weapons to hurt you with. Your legs would be wrapped around my waist. I don't have legs to kick you with, and I don't have arms to strike you with, right? At that time, you could be screaming, help, 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 and then, a good man will come over there and help you.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
You know what I mean?
Hopefully. But to your original point, your friend who did jiu-jitsu to be able to like beat up guys, she's going to do jiu-jitsu, and in a year from now she's going to be like, I'm never going to be able to beat up a guy who does jiu-jitsu.
But she'd be well more suited and armed to protect herself
if somebody who does.
If, like you said, a terrible situation were to come about.
Mm-hmm.
She'd extend her life.
Yeah.
She may not be able to save her life, but she would extend her life.
Yeah.
Might only be minutes.
She won't be able to kick everybody's ass, but
Yeah.
she'll be able to know enough to have self-defense.
She'd give herself a chance.
Self-preservation.
She'd give herself a chance for sure.
For sure.
For sure, for sure. You know who doesn't give anybody a chance? Fresh and Fit.
Approached me on a sugar daddy website and asked me to be your sugar baby, and then
Never
couldn't
did.
afford my allowance.
Never did.
He couldn't afford my $10,000 allowance a month and said, haha, that's funny. Why don't you just come on my podcast instead? So he pays $40 a month.
Are you done making your point now? Because let's really talk about this then.
Sure.
Yeah. You wanted $10,000 a month, and I said no, because I'm not going to
I
pay
don't
you.
want $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
I
Nope.
make well over $10,000
But I'm
a
saying
month.
I'm not paying no girl any money. Like I don't do that.
Yeah.
So thank you for
You've
cementing
never
my-
bought pussy before?
Nope.
I wish we could.
Nope. And thank
Have you
for
ever bought a
cementing that.
flight?
Selena,
Have you ever
Selena,
got an Uber?
Selena, stop interrupting.
Sorry.
So thank you for cementing the fact that I don't pay girls off sugar sites.
Facts.
Thank you.
Then why are you
And
on
then
there?
also
Why are you on there?
because I use it as a dating site, and I've said it many times.
Seems kind of like wasting someone's time. You know?
Yeah. What site was that, do you think, there?
I never knew there was a sugar baby site.
Seeking.com, I think is one.
They started like a whole Sugar Babies University, so a lot
Such
of
a
the money
weird
goes
thing.
towards paying for student debt.
Call me old school and primal. You know what I mean? But yeah. I think that's just kind of crazy.
Sugardaddy.com.
I mean, but hey,
Sugardaddy.com?
to each their
That's
own.
pretty simple.
If a sugar baby, let's assumedly a female,
My $10,000 a month allowance.
wants a $10,000 allowance, and she wants to go and be with and older or richer or whatever guy who he wants like a younger girl. Hey, God bless you.
God bless.
God, whatever. Do what you guys want. You know what I mean? It doesn't isn't something I'd want for someone I care about. That seems kind of like, I don't know. That's not, again, call me old school, but that doesn't seem like what, love should be about. And like, it's very transactional.
I don't think it's for love. If you talk to a lot of the girls that do it, or like a lot of the men that are doing it, it's purely transactional. It's like a placeholder. I don't know if she was on the marketing team or if she was on like the executive level, but it's one of those sugar baby websites. She did an interview with Eric Weinstein, and she was saying that most people that get into it do not end up in relationship because that wasn't like part of the game rule, like the rules of the game. So like they were both there for a means to an end, and they move on. And most men have multiple sugar babies, and a lot of the younger women were doing it to pay for school. And the overarching narrative of the conversation was that the tuition prices got so outrageous that it ended up leading to a spike in sugar babies, and they were actually using it for like really prestigious degrees. Like it wasn't they were going for liberal arts, they were going for like bioengineering. Okay. So they were doing it to pay for their future. And
they were like fucking some guy that they wouldn't be interested in otherwise.
Probably. I mean, I don't know how they were selecting or whatever, but they were using it to
like
reinvest.
What the deals of this transaction is.
Who is that girl?
I gotta say, in this video, and I hate to sound judgmental, everybody in that video came off like a loser to
Brother,
me.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
The girl interrupting, the girl talking about her allowance. The guy talking about, I use it for dating. Everybody came off like a fucking loser.
Everybody in that whole video,
that's a big L.
You read my mind, man. I was going to say, you know how we talk about Ukraine and Russia, there doesn't have to be a good guy. Like, I watched that whole video and I'm like, man, that everybody in that video deserved each other. Everybody, like, you wouldn't pay my allowance. No, I wouldn't pay your allowance. Then why were you on the website? Go to prove a point.
And you're also not on a sugar baby website if you're not looking for a sugar baby. You're not.
He said he uses it as a dating site, but he's not. But he's not paying anybody.
Women like that, like he's against women that are monetizing their sexuality.
He did it to do exactly what he got out of it. He did it to
recruiting people
to
for
recruit
his
for the podcast to then
trying to make these girls look dumb.
Yeah. So then
I think he looked dumb too.
It just the whole thing just looked, but also the way that she tried to shame him, like, you couldn't afford my $10,000 a month, brother. You know how much money I could have in this world, and I wouldn't pay a skeezer $10,000 a month for her existence.
It's on principle.
On principle.
I wouldn't want any like I have friends who like are into like would like be into like paying for like a girl, like, oh, you don't pay him for you pay him to leave or whatever.
You don't pay him to go, you pay him to leave.
I have no interest in like, I would want a girl to actually want me like for me, not for like just like my money, not just, you know what I mean? Like that wouldn't turn me on. That wouldn't turn me on at all. Yeah, I would do nothing for me.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand it, man.
I can't really relate to that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I understand that it exists. I just don't want anything to do with it. I don't want anything to do with the guys that are, if my buddy was having sugar babies, I feel like I'd have to like have some sort of intervention about it.
Well, did you think there's a difference between sugar babies and then having an escort?
I think it's very similar. I think it's damn near the same.
It is,
to me.
But the escort thing, I understand more now that I'm down in Miami. There are guys I know that like they want to show off, and it's like you said, it's very transactional. So they'll have like a business event.
I don't like transactional relationships.
Yeah, I don't think it's a relationship at all. There'll be an event.
I mean, any sort of relationship, really.
So let's say there's a meet and greet between a lot of brands, and this guy, wants to have professional fighters there, and he's got models there, and all these other things, and it's like a meet and greet. But he rents a yacht that's not his to show up to the party, and walks out with one or two girls that he can never get, but he's paying them so that the appearance that he's putting forth is one of I'm the top dog here, I'm the man. Whether maybe these other alphas in the room or whatever, but look at the yacht I have, look at the women I have,
but
and this is part of his.
I don't look at him as the top dog in the room.
I agree with you, but there's unfortunately
maybe
there's guys
that makes
that do.
him feel good about himself.
I think it's an appearance. It's like wearing a
it's
three-piece.
fake. It's a facade.
Yeah, it's like wearing a three-piece suit. It's like, you know, it's like renting a Rolex. You know what I mean? It's you're trying to, you know, in their
Be
mind,
something you're not.
Yeah, it's the act as if though, right? Like there's that fake it till you make it point. Half the business books in the world talk about that. You know, like, hey, just get in the room, order the food, and then figure out how to pay
How about
for it later.
be something of value. Provide something. Be worthy of it. You
Agreed.
can do that. You can do that.
Agreed.
If you feel like you're not, you can level up. You can educate yourself. You can work out harder. You can, you know what I mean. You can step your game up.
Sure.
Genuinely, not just on some fake bullshit.
There was a girl who got famous because she was outed doing porn a while back. This has to be like 15 years ago. She was a Duke. Do you remember this story?
Oh,
And then
I
Duke
knew
kicked her out.
We had the same agent for a
Oh,
little
really?
bit. Yeah,
And then-
Bella.
Knox.
Yeah.
Bella Knox. She Duke kicked her out, right?
No. I think they were trying to put her on suspension because of it. I think she might have been going pre-med, possibly. It was crazy though. I tried to help her out in the very beginning. I was trying to steer her in the right direction. She did not listen to anything I said. Gave away ownership to everything. Didn't own a single piece of content. Was paying absurd agency fees. And yeah, I don't know what ended up happening to her. I don't know if she finished her degree. The thing I don't understand is if you have plans for your future and it is more traditional, is requiring that kind of training, you cannot do porn. Like, so why are you going to be spending 70, 80K a year?
You can't do porn and be a doctor?
No.
Why?
It just you wouldn't be accepted. You wouldn't be accepted. You would be exiled. Like, no one's going to hire you. And then if you start your own practice, where are you going to get funding from if you're trying to do research or it's just,
Even if they're a great fucking doctor.
Yeah, no.
Then that's the most progressive field in the world.
It wouldn't happen. Who do you think is providing the funding? I don't think it's progressives. I think it's
Just because they fucked on camera.
yeah.
I don't think it's the fucking on
that's right.
camera part. I think it's the selling themselves part.
I think it's both because there's been times where there was revenge porn where a man would leak an intimate tape that was meant to be between two people, like never meant to be put
Yeah,
online.
that guy should get his
and then
fucking head kicked in.
the female ends up getting the brunt of it. Look at Pamela Anderson, for example. Like that is like a poster child for it. She made a tape with her husband,
Yeah.
an intimate tape with her husband that she had no plans on having be seen by anyone else but the two of them. And then she got labeled as a slut.
Yeah.
And then
it actually
it killed her
improved his
career.
career. It improved his.
And it killed hers.
Interesting.
And it's like, what did she do that was wrong? She was married. She was madly in love. That was something for their space. I don't believe that there's anything you can do within a union that's wrong or shameful or whatever. And instead of getting mad at the fucking crook that published it, and instead of getting mad at the industry that put that out without any fucking paperwork or consent, we talk about consent all the time. We take away a woman's entire, like,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
should be
know.
like sexual assault or something.
It should be a very serious crime.
But
Very serious crime.
Kim Kardashian's entire career was made.
But she
She
chose it.
participated.
She chose it.
100%.
Yeah.
So maybe, and I don't know if
I'm talking from a
Homeboy-
cultural
Oh.
perspective.
No, because now
Yeah, I was
she's like,
gonna
I'm a victim. No, people still believe that like she's a victim of it.
Oh, there's no way.
And wouldn't
Her
that be the Pamela Anderson
Doesn't everybody pretty
thing
much
the
know like
same?
her mom
Well,
like,
yeah.
basically directed the thing?
Yeah.
It worked
Like,
out great for them, but it didn't work out well for Pamela Anderson. I felt like Pamela Anderson, her stock.
No way.
No,
dropped?
yeah,
Yeah.
dropped.
Oh,
She
yeah.
never did anything again.
Well, she did things, but she was not America's sweetheart anymore.
She was America's
No,
sweetheart?
yeah, she was
Well,
America's
she stopped
bombshell.
Baywatch and then
Yeah.
Barbed Wire tanked.
Yeah,
And
Barbed Wire might have had something to do with it
Yeah.
too, though. Barbed Wire was god awful.
She have a show called like Stacked too. I remember it would come out after the football games. It was on Fox.
It didn't help that she was a horrible actress and all these other things, but it is true that
Paris Hilton.
she fell off.
What was the fallout of
No,
hers?
Paris Hilton was the success Paris Hilton had with PRing that into being this wild, crazy party girl and having like getting away from the.
yeah, she DJs as in Ibiza now until
Yeah.
like 6 a.m.
She's doing well.
Yeah.
She always was doing well. I mean,
That was also apparently staged.
It was,
I know
yeah.
a guy that was apparently in the room with Rick Solomon and all those dudes. And
No shit.
yeah, so that was like apparently it was Rick Solomon's idea, and he was like, "You got to get away from this waspy, Hilton thing. Like you got,
be a dirty girl.
yeah, be Britney Spears, be edgy, like,
Yeah.
yeah." Like Eminem's huge right now. How can you be the female Eminem? Put your $1 billion pussy on the internet and green. You know,
Which is crazy when you have that level of fame and wealth that most people will never attain, and you still want more.
And they have, it's almost like they have to claim victimhood to get almost like a good pub out of it. Like I remember seeing something with Paris being like, this was someone who like I loved and trusted, and I couldn't believe it was put out there. And like I feel like that was the Kim Kardashian line too, or you know what I mean?
because the only thing better than being rich and famous in America is being a victim.
Yeah.
It's the only thing more powerful, more lucrative. Yeah, you know, you can't just come out there and be like, yeah, I did this. It's awesome. Isn't that great? Because then that's when you get ostracized and people are like, oh, you know, that's the scarlet letter. But if she's a victim, it's not her fault.
Well, speaking of being a victim, we have another clip.
Hey!
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, it's twice as much shame on me. I cannot believe I allowed you to fool me again. Should definitely learned from the first time not to be fooled. Fool me 4 times, shame back on you. Actually, you are picking on a vulnerable man. Something has obviously gone wrong with me. This is like bullying the kid in a wheelchair at primary school. It's like, bully the fat kid, bully the kid with the limp. 4 times you're going to fool me? Unbelievable. Fool me 5 times, shame on me again. I mean, I'm vulnerable, but at some point you have to take some personal responsibility for crying out loud. Fool me 6 times. Fool me 6 times, 6 times a fool. And I have lured you into my trap. Pretending to be a fool 6 consecutive times to give you a false sense of security. Only to flip it. And now you are the fool. And you have the shame. Fool me 7 times, you saw through my trick. But there's no shame. Because I'm getting fooled by the best.
It's fantastic.
That was great.
That's a
I like
fantastic
that guy.
bit.
He's adorable.
That's a really fantastic
That's funny,
bit. That's
right?
well done, man.
I'm getting fooled by the best.
He is adorable. He is adorable.
That's brilliant. That's some brilliant
Who is that?
thinking
What's
right
his
there.
name? Give him a shout out.
James Donald Forbes McCann.
Oh man,
I'm not sure if that's
Jimmy
his name.
McCann! Old Jimmy McCann!
2 names too many.
2 names. 1 name, shame on me.
2 names, shame on you.
That's great. That's really good. You know, and I'm always like so impressed when you're able to like take something that everybody is aware of, connect on a level that everybody gets it.
Yeah.
And there's no cursing, there's no sex, there's none of, no drugs, there's none of the crutches that we all use. You just thought of one day a brilliant bit. You were in your
really
shower
hilarious.
and you were like, what happens if it's shame on me 3 times? Whose shame
Double
is it?
shame on me.
Double
Wait,
shame?
4 times. No, that's back on you
I
for picking on a
work
vulnerable
this,
guy.
I gotta work this out. Yeah, you sit there with a pen and a pad, going, yeah.
5 times back on me because I know I might be vulnerable, but I'm getting fooled a lot here.
You gotta take some accountability. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's brilliant.
That's great.
That's a brilliant bit.
Hell yeah.
That's a very that's almost like a little like Stephen Wright, Bill Hicksy. It's very good. Very, very, very good. Who do you think is your favorite comedian of all time?
I think right now I really like Bill Burr. I like Bill Burr. What was the Red Rock special that he just did?
Yeah.
I was crying.
Yeah.
There was this one part he's talking about like the wife taking out the trash, and I was just looking at Eric. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm guilty of that.
He made one of the best, pro-life, pro-choice bits of all time.
It was.
In that one too. It was really, really great.
Mm-hmm.
Man, G, I got to give you a shout out, bro. Watching you when we were at Tamarack, and I went there, and G was like, he basically was like, "Don't come, dude. This is like, it's gonna be like a kind of a shitty open mic." I walk in there, and boy was he right. The guy on there was like standing there, just like
it wasn't an open mic. It was just a god awful show.
He was just standing there with the microphone, and he was just like, build it, and they will come. Crickets. Like, it was bad. I was like, oh, shit. Like, it was way too quiet in there. G goes up there, moves over, sits himself down, and fucking annihilated the room. I was dying. Everyone was knee slapping. That place was dead. I was worried for you, bro. I was like, this is gonna be interesting. Let's see if we can. And you did your thing. Other guys, I grew up watching George Carlin. I got to see Carlin before he passed.
You saw
Jersey.
Carlin live?
I saw Carlin live.
What was that like?
To be honest, he was a little old. It was okay. It was okay. But I remember watching some of like his old stuff with like the 7 words you can't say on TV and shit, and watching that as like a kid and like dying, like
Football
loving
versus
it.
baseball.
Yeah,
We
all
playing
that
a
stuff.
diamond. We're on the gridiron.
all the stuff he did was real fantastic. I loved his specials. Big J is a great one. Big
so
J
good.
Ogerson, his crowd work.
Maybe the best
really
stage
good.
presence in the entire industry right now. Chappelle, Burr, all of them. When Big J's on stage, everybody's eyes are on Big J.
Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, Joey Diaz has moments where he just fucking annihilates. And
I thought Ari Shaffir's last special was hilarious because
Ari's another one. That's who I was just about to say
Yeah.
too. I think he's fucking fantastic, and that was like it was like such a masterpiece what he did there. So it was very topical. He's great. He's hilarious.
Oh, Theo Vaughn too.
Theo's
the man.
Theo's great.
Theo's amazing.
Yeah, I did the Comedy Store with Theo Vaughn one night a couple years back. That was a lot of fun. That was a very, very, very special moment. The belly room. It wasn't the main room before anyone comes after me. It was Theo Vaughn, and he was working out new material, and he hadn't hit yet. He was still like, there was somebody trying to take a picture of him because he was on like the Real World back in the day, and like you pull a phone out at the Comedy Store. Now I think they make you put him in like one of those Faraday bags or whatever the hell those things are called. And but back then, like they would run up and just take the phone right out of your hand. You couldn't record, couldn't take a picture or any of it.
I saw Daniel Tosh once, and he was really funny.
Tosh is great.
Tosh is great.
What happened to him? I used to watch his show every time it was on.
He took his money and bounced.
Yeah, kind of. They got very restrictive with what he could do and he couldn't do, and he just said it's not worth it anymore.
Kind of like Chappelle on Comedy
Very
Central
much so,
too.
yeah.
Who's your favorite comedians
of all time?
Yeah, give me a couple. As the comedian in this room.
Don Rickles, Patrice O'Neill.
Oh yeah.
Carlin.
They always say like all the real comedians love Patrice, and if you hated Patrice, you probably weren't that funny.
The best comedians that I've seen going, Greer Barnes is unbelievable.
I've heard of him, but I'm not familiar with him. Black guy?
Yeah, Greer Barnes is unreal.
Gotta check him out.
Yeah, Greer Barnes. I used to, when I first cut my teeth, the first club that ever passed me, that ever made me a quote unquote professional comic, was Dangerfields. It doesn't exist anymore. And I was the Sunday host at Dangerfield for a year. And Greer Barnes would be like unfollowable. Like everybody, like Greer would like drop in and go up. The people, like normally there's a fight. Like I want to go up next. Let me go up next. Let me get 5 minutes. And then Greer would go up and everyone's like, you can go. Like nobody wanted to go up after Greer. It was stupid.
I know
he had the funniest thing that I ever heard. I've told you this a lot, just so you can hear the story. There was a kid from Long Island. He's a good kid. I don't know if he does comedy anymore. He was like a charming guy. He wasn't really a great comic. And he goes up to Dangerfield's room full of like 250 people, and he kind of eats shit, right? So there's like this long bar where all the comics hang out, waiting to go back up, and he's going like speaking really loudly, like tough room out there tonight, huh? Like whoo, like like going up and down, just looking for anybody, like put their arm around him, and then it's not happening, and. And like one guy, I think it was JP Justice, goes like, I don't know, sounds like they're laughing at me. And then so he moves on to the next guy, like tough room. And then finally gets like Greer sitting at the end of the bar, like just looking down at his drink, minding his own business. And the kid goes, hey man, did you hear my set, man? What'd you think? Was it any good? And without even looking up from his like, I think it was a whiskey or whatever, without even looking up, he goes, young homie, if you got to ask, you already know. That was it. That was it. And you know what, though? I'm sitting there listening over on the side, and that was the last time I ever asked if it was a hot room or not. That was it. If you got to ask, you already know. Shane Gillis is...
I was just about to... That was the one I was about to say. I saw him at Stress Factory.
Yeah.
We drank some beers together after. Really cool guy. Really funny guy.
Yeah, he refused to help me to workshop some jokes with me and didn't want to be in any of my sketches. So, but I still a really, really, really remarkably funny guy. Nate Bargatze is amazing. Mark Norman's
I've heard a lot of good things about Nate
Bargatze. Is amazing. Mark Norman's unreal joke writer. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very funny.
Brian
I did
Callen
skanks with him a
live.
few times.
Brian Callen live is something that needs to be seen.
Yeah.
People don't respect Brian Callen for the comedian. If you ever want to be a comedian, go watch Brian Callen live. It's a masterclass in how to be a comedian. In the writing, in the presentation, in the usage of the stage, in the pantomimes, in the callbacks. The guy is like a technically perfect comedian. He's like the Bret
He's a cool
Hart.
motherfucker too.
Great dude.
Yeah.
Great dude. Awesome guy. Love Brian Callen. Yeah. But yeah, Patrice, Greer, Brian Callen. There's some good ones out there right now.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. And there's
Comedy's
good ones you
fun
can see.
too, because what I like about it, and it doesn't sound like a little me heady, but one of the first times I got it was from Joe Rogan, right? Where they're saying very like intelligent, like almost like philosophical things, and pointing out like the ridiculousness in the world, but then making you laugh at it too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think a lot of comedians are kind of like the modern day philosophers in a lot of way.
I think if you do it right, that's what we all aspire to be. You know, you start off, there's like different progressions. You start off just getting comfortable. Then you start off with crutch jokes like dick jokes, black guys, white people, am I right? And then you learn how to make people laugh. You
How to
learn
be
the
yourself.
tricks. And then once you learn the tricks of how to make people laugh and you have a couple jokes that you know no matter if I try something, I can get the room back, then you have the comfort to start finding your voice and being yourself. And then that's when we all want to be Carlin, where we all want to be, you know, one of these philosophers like you're talking about. And the absolute pinnacle of the art, probably the thing that Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr are better at than anybody in the world, is being able to tell something, tell somebody something they don't want to hear in a way that they can't stop listening. You know, to be
Or like
able to
something they would disagree with, but you make it so like
100%. You know, Bill Burr sits there and tells a joke that's going to piss off both pro-life and pro-choice people, but he does it in such a perfect way. His delivery is so good, and his punchline is teased so perfectly that you have to wait for the end of it, and you're like,
can't argue with that
unbelievable.
motherfucker.
Now, there's other people where you've been watching comedy and you know on Netflix, and I'm not going to say who they are, but like, and I'm literally 30 seconds, and I'm like, I'm out. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, it sucks when you could like
I'm
I
out.
can tell what the punchline's gonna be like pretty early, you know?
Yep. I'm out.
It's weird because you'll have some people that, I don't know, I think are hilarious, and you've seen them do smaller rooms, and then as soon as they get to special, it's flat. What happens with that?
The special is a really, really difficult thing now because we all kind of have parallel thinking, you know, and everybody.
Who's we?
Comedians. Yeah. So we see something and it's in the news and immediately it's like, all right, tag,
brain
tag,
starts
tag,
going,
tag.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, and then it's almost like a race to see who can get it out first. But jokes never used to be this way. Jokes need time to bake. You know, there's a joke that you write and then over the course of performing it over the year, at the end of the year, it's ready and it's really, really good. But it took, you know, 30, 40, 50 shows of tweaking this, doing this. I'm going to change the timing on this. I'm going to add a tag here before it gets like really good. If you want to see what I'm talking about, look up Bernie Mac, Milk and Cookies. And you can look up Bernie Mac. You can even look at it if you want. You can look up Bernie Mac, Milk and Cookies, and you can see him doing it like 3 years before the Kings of Comedy came out. And the first one is like, you can see, wow, this is like interesting, and he's really interesting. And it's like, it's kind of funny. And then by the time it gets to the Kings of Comedy, that is an all-time bit. That is an all-time, oh my God, spit your freaking guts out, you know, bit. Have you ever heard it? Oh, well, we got to pull it up. Pull up Bernie Mac, Milk and Cookies. R.I.P. Bernie Mac.
Goddamn late for some damn cookies and milk, man. Take your punk ass upstairs and get some rest. That's how I talk to them. Fuck that timeout shit. I ain't got time to play with these badass kids. These kids will kill you. They gonna kill me. I'm gonna kill them.
So
I can see y'all reading Jed and Ebony right now. I can hear you talking. It's a shame how Bernie fucked up those damn kids.
he's raising his sister's kids.
They walk around the house 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, got their finger under my nose, seeing if I'm breathing, all that kind of shit. Badass, some of my bitches. Rocking all the goddamn time. I ain't no psychologist. Then this man gonna sit up there, she gonna go upstairs. The 2-year-old, I heard the 2-year-old say, where the cookies and shit?
Talking about how the 2-year-old runs the show before this.
He gonna tell her, him downstairs. Who the fuck is him? Like I ain't got no name.
This isn't. You gotta see the setup to get the punchline. It's one of the best bits of all time. But yeah,
do your own research.
There's nothing better than good comedy. There's nothing worse than bad comedy. And unfortunately, the only way to figure it out is to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? There's nothing better than a good podcast, and that's what we got here at Canceled Weekly. That's Miggy. This is Candace, and I'm Gerard. We will see you.
Check us out next week.